I'm Natalie.
I'm Caitlin.
And I'm Hannah. Welcome to the Stride Sisters podcast. On today's episode, we're talking of all things Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2024. This will be a special two-part episode. In part one, we'll be diving into the race itself, from the early wake-ups and the pre-race jitters to the on-course magic and our favorite moments from the runs. We'll talk all about the races, from the expo to the 5K, 10K, and the half marathon. Then, in part two, we'll share our park experiences, our favorite eats, and the unforgettable after party that made the weekend complete. So lace up your shoes and step into the magic with us. Of course, as soon as I hit the record button, my body is like, let's do a yawn.
My Garmin's finally not calling for help on my behalf.
Oh yeah, is your body batteries finally recharged?
It's saying my training readiness is a moderate versus a 0 where it was. And my body battery is 32 right now, so, could be better.
I think it just needs some time to get to know you.
Yeah, I think it's had a very violent introduction to me, I should say, because I got it, and then I had 2 normal nights of sleep, and then I went to Disney for a race weekend. So I think that it's just a little it's on the Perplex Express.
Trial by fire. It's very you though, so if it can't hang, then it needs to get its life together.
That's true. That's very true. It needs to understand how things go around here, around these parts.
We're so excited to be back, and we hope everyone's ready to hear about Wine and Dine and our recap for that. Obviously, some of us are still recovering a little bit. It was so much fun, and we got minimal sleep, but yeah. Does anyone want to start us off with what their training updates were for this week between Wine and Dine and now? Caitlin, you ran a 5K this morning.
Oh, yeah.
You
It
get
was
to have
really
a mini
cute.
race recap before the big race recap.
Oh, it was very cute. This is one of my favorite little 5Ks that I found locally here in Louisville. It's called Through the Zoo. And so it's literally where you go through the Louisville Zoo. And we ran past a lot of animals this morning, and the theme was elephants. And I've always loved elephants. So that's why I just had to sign up. And we went past the elephant exhibit today, but the elephants were not out. So I
Oh,
had
bummer.
I know, I had my own little John Mulaney moment where I was like, the inside part, tell them we're here. So, but the lions were very majestic this morning. They actually roared, and yeah.
I feel like every time I go on the safari at Disney, the lions or tigers or whatever, they're always asleep. So
it started at 8. So they were pretty active this morning. And so the male and female were both out, and the female was like kind of being really protective, walking past and like walking back and forth past her man, and like guarding him in front of all these intruders. So it was really cool. And the zebra were out, the flamingos. There weren't too many animals out. Usually I see like the seals, and they're like flipping around being really funny, and like the last time Austin and I did this together, the polar bear was being hilarious. He was like diving into the water and like popping back up, and he wasn't out today, so that was a bummer. But
oh,
it was still a really cute, fun race.
just
So
like one of the manatees. We went to the
right.
aquarium this weekend because I had a
Yeah.
headache and it was all dark,
Yes.
and one of the manatees was having a ball.
That was
One of them not so
probably
much.
was that Little Joe? Was that his name?
Maybe they had
Maybe it
two, I'm
was
not
Little
sure.
Joe. Right. Yeah, I can't remember which one was which. But yeah, those manatees are pretty cool at Epcot. And Yeah, it's a cute race.
Good job.
Well, thank you.
Natalie, what about you?
I have had a decent week of training. I did not even think about doing speed this week because no. But got my mileage in. Um, Even following Galloway, like this was the 8.5 and 20, but given that I just did 7 and 17, that wasn't happening this weekend. I learned lessons most of the time. I just pushed up our next weekend's scheduled 6. So got that done this morning. And life is good. Just getting back into the swing of things. Haven't done strength training this week because I needed a little bit of extra rest. So I'll get back into that on Monday.
I had a rough week this week. I got home
Oh,
from Disney and it was just craziness. And then I've been doing some of my PT because my hip, this kind of always happens after I have to sit in the car or on a plane for like more than like 5 hours, is I tend to get a little niggle. So I've been working on that. But then also on Thursday, I found out some pretty not nice news about a childhood friend not being well. So I will just say I was a little sad on
oh, I'm
Thursday and
sorry
I
to hear
opted
that.
to watch Harry Potter instead. So
Oh,
sometimes we have to do things that are good for our mental health, even if it's not what's on the training plan. And I
it's
will be
okay.
doing my 6 miles tomorrow. So
It's
I'll get
okay.
it.
New leaf, turning over a new page. I don't know. What's the
Now's a great
expression?
time. There's a lot of leaves falling off
Now
the
is the
trees outside my
time.
apartment. So lots of leaves turning over.
New person over here. I went running on Thursday, did my run today, including stretching before and after. So, trying to be a whole better person.
All right, guys, let's hold her accountable. That includes you, listeners. And then, if you are following Galloway, it was that you just finished week 19 with that 8.5 and 20, as mentioned before. And this is your last, or was your last day, 2 day simulation. So your next simulation will add another day. I hope you're ready.
Goofies be like, can't relate.
Yeah. I was
Rude.
That
going to say that's the dopey schedule. I was like,
Yeah.
you guys have those both Saturday and Sundays. None of my schedules have both weekend days. So,
well, with Princess on the horizon, that is something you will
um
need to train back to backs for and 3-day back to backs.
It'll come later though. Big breath. You have time to like wrap your
that
mind
is
around it.
like January me. I'm not really worried about post marathon me.
One
Interesting.
step at a time. One step at a time, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. We're just focused on the right now.
Okay, and no injuries to report from anyone?
I
Everyone, please
think
say yes.
I think we're Gucci over here.
All right, so days until our next races. No more wine and dine. We are
Rip.
fi- rip. We are 57 days until marathon weekend 2025. We hope you checked in for your ADR. If you have it, if you got your reservations, did you guys remember to log in and make any reservations this week? Because I didn't forget, or I did forget kind of until like midday.
I'm not there yet.
Yours still has a few more days, right? Because you're not coming in until the weekend.
Right.
So just around the corner for you. Do you have
Mhm.
anything in mind?
No, not particularly, but I might try to book something for me in Austin. But his parents are actually coming. So we started talking about that too. So maybe we'll have a big reservation for 4 people. That might
Yeah.
be fun.
What about you, Natalie? Did you make any? That's rhetorical because I know that you did.
Sure did.
Mostly because I'm going to one of them with you.
Oh, what'd you get?
At the butt crack of dawn the other morning
Mm-hmm.
because I live in Central Time.
How
Sometimes
early
they'll
you have to
open
wake.
at 4:45. Usually it's at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, but sometimes it opens a little bit early.
Got to keep you on your toes.
Sure, yeah. We have a storybook reservation after the marathon, which is super exciting. I have a dinner or old lady dinner as well on Saturday. Have a couple breakfasts post 5K, 10K. Very excited. Everything was pretty easy to get because I obviously booked Storybook first because
Mm-hmm.
dopey people are dopey. So they want to see our boy
Mm-hmm.
live. and that's a reservation that it's only open 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. So
Mhm.
a little bit limited, but it was actually pretty easy to get.
Even later in the day, I was looking at stuff for Sunday or Monday just in case my parents might wanna go, and there was still availability at Artist Point. Not for, like, 4, which is, like, for marathoners is kinda late once you start to get into that, just because by then we haven't slept at all, but there was plenty, like, 7 to 9 the second half of that window.
It was exciting.
That was such a good dinner. That was definitely one of the highlights of this past trip.
True. Spoiler for next week.
Yeah.
But no, I'm excited. I am excited for the Run Fit Fab pop up on Friday because I almost made a lunch reservation at Kona, like right in the middle of it.
All right, and then we've got 79 days until Disneyland Half Marathon 2025. We have 100 days until Princess Weekend. Yay.
Wild.
We're about to be double digits. I love when it turns out to be like a nice round number like that. And then we've got 142 days until Springtime Surprise Weekend, which I still think none of us have pulled the trigger on.
Nope.
Not yet.
But there are still spots available for the challenge, the 10 miler, the yoga, and the after party at Typhoon Lagoon. I don't know. We'll see. That is a future me problem.
All right, on to our Disney news. Natalie, take it over.
All right. So this is old news for you, but it's interesting news for us. We received dates for the fall 2025 Run Disney races. Disneyland Halloween Half Marathon Weekend will be held September 4th through 7th, 2025. Club Run Disney registration will be 11/26 of 2024, but general registration will be December 3rd. We don't really have themes yet, but we have a little bit of a clue, like spooky, villainy vibes, what you'd expect from Halloween. Wine and Dine Half Marathon Weekend 2025 is October 23rd through 26th of 2025. Had it been its normal spot of the first couple days in November, it would have overlapped Halloween. The 5K would have been on Halloween, so they eliminated that. It's the same weekend as Marine Corps instead of being the same weekend as New York City Marathon. Club Run Disney registration will be the 4th of February. General registration will be the 11th of February. Our theme clues, because we just have the artwork like for the weekend so far. There's a little cloud motif going on, a little sun and a moon. Some people have speculated this could mean something about night races. Probably not, but maybe. Maybe. A little bit more on the speculation nation time. So, cracks knuckles. Registration pattern wise, Halloween Half Marathon Weekend is early. Wine and Dine usually is in March after Princess. So, usually the way that it goes is there's, at least since they reintroduced Disneyland February, then Wine and Dine March, then April is Marathon Weekend. Sorry for the trauma of everybody who dealt with Marathon Weekend registration for Marathon Weekend 2023. Sorry, I reminded you. Princess is in June. This year, Disneyland took June. And then Princess took the July slot, springtime in August. Okay. So usually they space out the registrations about a month apart. Now, with Wine and Dine taking that February slot, could that mean that maybe they are just going to shift everything up? We'll be done registering even through Springtime Surprise of 26 in July. But could that mean they're also making room for a new Run Disney weekend in
Ooh.
California? That's my speculation for now. I think I
Do you think it
think
would be a Christmas race?
No, back in the day when they had a full suite of 4 races, they had one after Labor Day.
Mhm.
They had one in January where and then they had one in May. I think the 4th one actually might have been November. It might have been November, like Wine and Dine was like coast to coast.
Mm.
That actually sounds correct, but it actually might not be. I know it was sometime somewhere in that vicinity.
Mhm.
But what could happen is that they have something because it was Mother's Day was that last one, and I believe that was Tinkerbell.
Ooh.
So could this be the announcement or like kind of like a soft launch? Could this
Mhm.
be Disneyland getting another race back because they had one race in the 2023-2024 season. 2 races in the 2024-2025 season, and now could this be adding a third one? I don't know. Maybe it is just simply Disney wants our money faster. But it was interesting that they released just the fall 2025 schedule
Mhm.
because I think that they are shifting it so it's a calendar year season. I believe that that's what they're trying to do. So, for context, Club Run Disney, that my membership, I just got an extra 3 months free on this one, and now it's a calendar year membership for Club Run Disney. So, I'm still off of my old purchase of gold, and my renewal of gold starts in January. So, are they just trying to align everything? Maybe, possibly, probably actually. Or are we looking at a little bit of a shakeup in things? I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see things come out. And I just realized that we haven't gotten, because this is something else I had been speculating, the news for how they're going to do coast to coast for next year. Because I have speculated that they were going to try to avoid anything about Coast to Coast 2025 until Wine and Dine was over, because Coast to Coast is always a calendar year. So if you did Wine and Dine in 2024 and Disneyland in 2025, you don't get Coast to Coast. So I think to avoid confusion that they were going to delay the announcement. So it'll be really funny if this comes out between us recording and us releasing, but if this news, but Disney tends to like a Tuesday drop a little bit better, but Run Disney has been loving their Mondays in terms of medals, themes, stuff like that. So who knows? Speculation.
Yeah. I think now would be a good time for them to add another California
Yeah.
race just because they seem to have worked out some kinks and
Yeah.
they seem to be getting more into the flow since they've returned to racing. I'm still just waiting on Disneyland Paris personally.
That's another good point. What if that's part of the spec? Well, I know that there's a lot of construction going on at
There is,
Disneyland
yeah.
Paris, so people don't really expect races to come back there until that's all done. The landscape there is a lot different. It's more like Disneyland here, where it's a nice, compact little area, but construction really impacts things in a different
Yeah.
way. That would be so cool. Castle to Chateau.
Yeah. I'm just a little delulu about it.
You and a lot of other people. There's some people like punch in the air happily right now where they're like, yeah, it's Disneyland Paris. KG, I know, is one of them. I know she's
KG, if
waiting.
that gets announced, we're gonna have to have a chat.
We're going to pool the Delta miles and get to Charles de Gaulle Airport
It's like the ultimate like princess girls weekends. Like we'll leave the boys at home. It'll be great.
in Paris. I've never been. I've never been.
Magical. All
Speaking of
right.
magical, 2024 Walt Disney World and Disneyland holiday food guides have been released. I think my husband would get upset at me if I did not bring up that Jock Lindsay's at Disney Springs has a special set of menu items that look pretty tasty. That is his very favorite place to go at Disney because it's, Indiana Jones themed. And there's some cool popcorn buckets coming to both coasts. Originally, it was announced that all of these were coming just to Disneyland, but the first one I'm going to bring up is also going to be available at Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. So there's a Mickey Elf bucket that's going to be a Very Merry exclusive.
I'm crying inside because none of us are going, which means I don't have a chance of getting it.
And then it comes to Disneyland starting the 21st of November when their holiday stuff kicks off a little bit more. It's super cute. He's in this little elf outfit. He's got his little foot up. It's really cute. There's a gingerbread house that'll be at Disneyland and Disney's California Adventure. And then Santa Sully starts also the 21st at Disneyland. All kinds of things available in the foodie guides. Going to give a plug to some friends over at Diz Mornings, the Morning Monorail and Diz Trips and more. Some of my friends have kind of teamed up for some news. So go get some of your some additional if you want to see pictures, etc. Nate does a really good job of writing his blog posts, and obviously friends of the monorail over here. So plug for that if you want to see pictures, if you're a visual learner. An 8-foot tall gingerbread spaceship Earth is coming to Communicore Hall on November 29th,
Wow.
the day the Festival of the Holidays starts at Epcot. It was my first time seeing Communicore Hall, and it was there. And I do not really understand the complaints about it, but it's just simply there.
Yeah, I didn't have any complaints. I was definitely whelmed at best. It was just like, you know, a building that looks nice and clean and new and modern. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was something a little more, but it was like hopping at the after party. So
Oh,
it's a good space, even if it's neutral.
yeah. Maybe I have a little like special place because A, I ate mac and cheese in there, and B, I saw Daisy Duck getting down to Gasolina right outside. So like, maybe that's why. I don't know. It's places to sit.
They had nice water in their water fountains.
That is good. And like a water bottle filler.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Even better. Even better.
And it was like cold.
Ooh.
Like primo Disney water right there.
Okay, let's ball.
I take back my statement. It bumped up just now just because of the cold water and the water bottle filler.
That's what matters, okay? Outlets, places to sit, water bottle fillers. It's all good, all good. But we won't be able to see it because this will come down before marathon weekend, but I'm excited to
Big
see
bummer.
other people's pictures of it.
Mhm.
Um, that'll be fun. And then Disney Springs has a Christmas tree stroll kicked off November 8th and will run through the 30th of December. 16 of the 21 trees have a Magic Band Plus hidden effect to activate, which is pretty fun. Pretty cool, actually. And obviously, it being at Disney Springs means it's free. So all you have to do is go to Disney
Mm.
Springs, wear your Magic Band Plus, and try to activate the different effects on the trees.
That sounds like an adventure. That sounds like a really cute like we go to our local botanical gardens every year and see the Christmas lights there and they put on a spectacular show, but I feel like this is a really cute option if you have I mean, if you're an adult as well, but also if you have kids, like a free activity that you can go to, you don't have to spend. You could if you wanted, you could make it a whole event, but like I think that would be really cute for kids to be like trying out. I'm imagining a lot of waving arms.
And if your pass is blocked out, you can always go to Disney Springs. Oh, speaking of passes, Hannah, what did you do this trip?
I upgraded my tickets from this trip to an annual pass, so I'm officially an annual pass holder now.
Kermit noises. Yay!
I am very excited about it. Yeah, they gave me a button. Well, not when I upgraded. I went to like a guest services, and the cast member was extremely excited for me. So she put it on a button, and then she did some like extra decoration on it, and I wore it around the parks for a day or two. And I got my card. I can't wait to get my first magnet. I'm already getting like they signed me up for all the like emails of all the pass holder exclusive stuff, so I'm already getting emails about like all the holiday stuff that I can't do, but it is very exciting and honestly, the most fun is to know that I already paid for it. So for the next 2, maybe 3 if I sign up for springtime trips, I do not have to pay for tickets. It's all taken care of now. I just have to find Ben's tickets.
It's a beautiful feeling, I'll tell you. And it was the same desk I upgraded my AP to or my tickets to an annual pass at an Epcot.
Yay! The
The
plaids
same
were
one.
looking platy and I really liked it.
Oh yes. Peace, love, plaids.
Ready to get to our main topic, y'all? We're doing a little dance. You can't see it, but we're doing a little dance. We're going to break this into 2 parts. So, this week you're getting everything that has to do with like the actual races, all those components. And then next week we'll be bringing you all of our park time and party time, everything that's celebration of the weekend. So, we'll be covering Expo, 5K, 10K, and half marathon this week. And next week, as I said, will be park time, possibly more food, like park food discussion, park rides, park time in general, and the after party. All right. Natalie, do you want to kick us off with the expo since you were the first to arrive?
I was basically like first on the scene.
We should get you a mic, like one of those reporters about the storms. You're
That would
first
be
on scene
so Wait, that would be so funny. Okay, we're gonna table that for marathon weekend.
for TikToks.
I have Club Red Disney Gold, and this year they moved up our shopping window to start at 8:30. So, like a well-adjusted adult, I was there by 7:40. And I wish I could say that I was like first in line, but I wasn't. I was maybe like 25 back.
I saw pictures of that line. It was long.
It did get long. It got a lot longer after I got there, but, got to see some friends in line, my friend Travis, my friend Brianna, owner of Enchanted, got to see them in line, made some new friends in line as one does. Actually, by the time you hear this, part of the reason I'm a freak about the expo, and I wouldn't even want to say freak, I just like my things,
You're
okay?
passionate.
I'm passionate. I love these metal replica pins. Okay, I'm holding up the Swedish Chef one right now. And that's part of that was, the merch situation. So this weekend, actually, before I get to that, this weekend, the merch situation was pretty good in terms of the metal replicas. They had them.
All the
I
way
don't
to the
want to,
last day.
yeah, they had them. And they, like, because usually, especially the 5K is the first race that goes first. They had the Swedish Chef ones even long after the 5K, during the day of the 5K, and they were constantly restocking them.
Mhm.
So I think that in terms of a lot of people's feedback has been, hey, what are you doing? These go so fast. Like, what are y'all doing? So, in terms of having enough inventory for them. So, I was very impressed with that. Obviously, there are some things that go a little bit faster, but back to my line story. Somebody who I was talking to, shout out Kira, I was talking to her about how I love the metal replicas, even though I don't have a complete set, and how I last year at Disneyland accidentally picked up an extra coast to coast metal replica, but I'm holding onto it to trade because at the time there were 3 that I don't have from races. So I don't have the Figment metal replica. I didn't have the Disneyland D, and I don't have the Expedition Everest 5K. And why I say I didn't is because she realized, she's like, I'm pretty sure I have an extra Disneyland D at home, because I think she pre-ordered, forgot she pre-ordered, and then also bought one or something like that.
Mhm.
So it is on its way to me, or may have already arrived from
Yay!
her, because she had an extra. So now I have the Disneyland a half marathon metal replica.
And did you trade her with that coast to coast medal?
She did not want it,
Oh.
because I told her, I was like,
Aw,
"Hey,
so
like,
she's
I'll
just a
trade it."
saint.
I paid her for it, but
Still.
because I even gave her, she's like, "Oh, just what it cost plus shipping." I like threw in some extra for a finder's like you're so nice fee. Um, but yeah, I'm holding on to the metal replica for Coast to Coast for a trade. So if you're sitting on an extra Figment, especially, hit a girl up. Hit a girl up. I'm willing to trade you for the Coast to Coast metal replica. Um, that was just a total ding dong move, but I don't know. Either that, or maybe I'll raffle it off for charity, for my
Hmm.
Chicago charity at some point, or I don't know. Something that is like good karma, not bad karma. Like, I'm not going to sell a pin for $50, because that sounds like I'm going to trip and fall if I do that. Anyway, merch situation was really good. I'm currently wearing one of the shirts. They had a really good, like, Epcot, Spaceship Earth, like, geodesic theme going on with a lot of the merch. And they usually really up the ante for a anniversary year, which this
Mm.
was.
It was nice stuff.
Yes. 15th anniversary. Some They had a lot of good, like, I have little Mickey reflectors on this long sleeve I'm wearing. The
Ooh.
fabric is nice. It's nice and like vented almost. So I'm excited to actually really sweat in this shirt.
Something I don't usually say about clothing. I'm really excited to sweat in this.
Yes, I'm excited to like be down bad
Active.
sweating. But I think that they had a really good setup there, a really good setup. They really were doing a good job of restocking periodically, and that's some feedback that I heard from people who had later virtual queues. I obviously don't have to do the virtual queue system, but I do think that kicking out all the Club Run Disney people by 9:30 helped a lot in terms of virtual queues getting called more quickly, and because we had to be checked out and done. I think I probably could have stayed for number sign pictures if I wanted, but at that point I was ready to just go get in the bib line. Obviously there was a little bit longer of a line to get to the bibs, but really once we started moving and they opened the gates up into that building, it just kept moving. We were all kind of waiting for bib pickup to open, got bibs. Pretty standard, pretty easy. I do like that characters are in that building, just as a little extra bit of excitement to
Mhm.
the bib pickup.
That building is like I want to get in and out of it as soon as possible usually. Uh, but with characters it definitely draws you to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah, they had Remy and Louie, uh, the gator from
Mhm.
Princess and the Frog. And then they also have these cool, like, kind of backdrop signs, and that's where they have a magic shot where I think that it was Kermit or different Muppets that were on like a bench with you. I actually didn't do that this time, but those are usually pretty fun. I usually will pose with my bibs, but bib pickup was pretty good. Um, I mean, their lines were kind of long, moved pretty quickly. As I had predicted, I was in C. I don't want to just always come on here and be like, okay, I was right, but I was. But in terms of me anticipating that
Natalie.
C, okay, it's a streak and it's going to be over soon, eventually. So I had anticipated that C was going to be the final proof of time corral, and it was based on the estimated finish times. So when the marathon weekend event guide comes out and they have the estimated release times, pay attention. But I was right about that, and that's where I was. I was in C with people who were POT, people who were Platinum Clubber and Disney were in B. Kind of funny because last year I was also in C, and now it's like, woo, I'm in POTC. But all good. But yeah, I guess I should get to the controversy at hand and stop procrastinating it. Beer cup gate.
We actually had people message us about the beer cup pre-race just to make sure, like, what is Natalie gonna do about the beer cup situation?
I laughed so hard at that. Don't worry. I made it through these trying times.
She obtained not one, but 2 beer cups.
Sure did. Okay, so if you weren't following along, so the beer cup usually it's this generic white plastic, well, not even white, but like clear plastic Run
Mhm.
Disney cup. Sometimes they have a Wild World of Sports one, sometimes it's just a Run Disney one. Okay. So they changed it for a Wine and Dine exclusive, which was really cute cup. This was the big controversy of the expo. This is why I didn't hear much about people's virtual queues or bad merch or whatever, because it was all about the beer cup. So they switched it out. I heard this is just going to be for Wine and Dine. Again, it was an anniversary year. That's what I heard, because then they did run out of those.
I would believe it. It looked like very much like an anniversary. Like it had the same logo and stuff. It looked specific to the weekend, I thought. Oh no,
But
you're about to crush me.
so if you bought it at the race, you got
Mm,
an orange beer cup. And then by later in the weekend, where I obtained my first beer cup so that my gear check bag would go to some kind of use,
mhm,
um, I got the orange Wild Lord of Sports one because they still had them, but they didn't have the pineapple cider at the one where they had the fancy cups. So, you know,
mm,
I if I was gonna buy it, and if I was gonna buy it pre-race, because usually I won't drink really until the final race is over.
mhm.
So if I was gonna buy it pre-race, it was gonna be a pineapple cider, because I'm a woman of great tastes. So beer cup gate. I do think that because it's orange and has the Wide World of Sports cup on it, and I like the cups. I do use them at home, especially if you're looking for like a good 16 ouncer. That's a good one or a good one to use. We'll talk about my other beer cup acquisition later. That was, I think, the big controversy of the weekend was
Yeah.
the beer cup. But do you guys have anything else that you want to say about the expo? The vendor building was as expected. I didn't see a whole like thing with the Normatec boots this time though. There were a couple of vendors who had them, but I didn't see the whole shebang, but I could have just missed it.
I don't think I remember seeing it. I did sign up for a raffle with Echelon, hoping that I will win a treadmill or a rower. I will not, but a girl can dream. And I wasn't as intrigued by most of the booths in there. Like sometimes I like to wander and really like look at stuff, and I did not have that feeling this year. Um, I just sort of, other than when I tried out the rower, I was having fun on the rower.
The
And then
ergs are fun.
I had to remind myself, "You have a race. You have a race this weekend. Don't work too hard."
So
And
the
they were having tech
mobility.
issues. The poor, like, associate or whatever, she was, I think, a little embarrassed that her Wi-Fi kept cutting in and out, which made it hard for her to, like, showcase everything, but
Oh no.
it was fun. I enjoyed it. I really like my shirt, the shirt that came with the race. It was cute. I'm wearing it right now. The half was, like, this gray one with Remy on it.
Mama boy.
Um And I actually, I got a little I was a little disappointed before I picked up the shirt because I remembered I forgot to switch it from women's cut to men's cut because I thought for long sleeves I would want the crew neck instead of the V. But actually the V is not as like dramatic as I think it is on the short sleeve ones.
Ooh. Interesting.
So I actually don't mind. It's almost barely like there's barely any less fabric than the crew neck. Um, so I'm actually happy with it. I like it. Wore it, wore it around all day. I got pictures with the numbers. I don't think I did any character pictures at the expo this year or before any races. I only did character pictures during the race. Um, but yeah, it was a good experience. I got a couple things from the expo. They had a blue tie-dye Spirit jersey, and I'm a sucker for tie-dye. So I really, really enjoyed that. I've worn it almost every single day since I came home from the trip. So it was a worthwhile purchase already. And Natalie was able to secure, there was like one bit of merch that did sell out. They had
Mm.
graphic t-shirts for the weekend, and they were only there that first day when Natalie was there. She was able to secure a t-shirt that said anyone can race with Remy on it. They only had small and like extra large or extra extra large, something like that, and it fit me. So we kept it instead of returning it, and I'm very excited to be in possession of that shirt.
I know. I should have gone there first. Like when I but I was okay, so I was a woman on a mission
Mhm.
because my friend Adam is obsessed with the Muppets. So he was like, "Hey, like whatever you can get me Muppety." I'm like, "Okay, I got you, man." And that was my main mission was the Muppet merch because I did get a graphic to one of those graphic tees where it's Kermit, the Swedish chef, and a chicken, and Kermit's chasing the Swedish chef's chasing the chicken. It says "Can't catch me." So I got one for Adam and I got one for me too. So
Nice.
all good. Like, but I like it's like the humor teas where it
Mhm.
doesn't say like I did it on there. It doesn't say um other stuff on
Like
there.
I
So
think that anyone can race doesn't even have distances or anything. Like it's
no.
just funny and cute.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Caitlin, do you want to tell everyone how you feel about the expo?
A lot of chaos just literally happened just now. So had to get everybody to quiet down so that you didn't hear Boomer barking. He is currently eating right now. So I apologize if you can hear him. But yes, see, the expo for me, I am unfortunately not a very big expo fan like you guys. For me, the expo is kind of just like something that I have to do to because I have to pick up my bib and I have to pick up my shirt that came with the race. And I was just really chomping at the bit trying to get to Epcot and because I hadn't gone into the parks yet. So I did not step foot in that merch building at all. I did go to get my bib, and I was in Corral D, which honestly doesn't really bother me. I was Corral 3 the one time that I did Springtime Surprise 2022, and I was Corral C for Princess this past year. So it's okay. My feelings are not hurt or anything by being Corral D. And yeah, I did go to the other building with the shirts where we had to pick up your shirt, and I did buy something from there. I got some fuel for the race. And so, yeah, I did make a purchase, but I'm not really one for like buying all of the merch. Or at least this time around I told myself I wasn't going to buy any of the merch because I want to buy the marathon weekend merch.
That's a
So,
good point. I am also
yeah.
holding myself back.
It was really cute, like, all the stuff that you guys got, though, and I do have a tank top from springtime 2022, and it says anyone can race because that was also a Ratatouille themed. That was the 10K that I did that was Ratatouille. So I still have that, and I almost brought it this trip, but then I didn't. I'm not, like, the biggest fan of the expo because I was like, "Get me out of here. It's way too overwhelming. I'm very overstimulated." So I've never gotten a picture with the big giant numbers, and that's okay with me. I'm all right.
Oh man, wait till Princess when you have to go on the first day.
Oh, I was thinking that because I've never done the 5K.
I mean, if you wait to go until like 2, 3 p.m., usually it's not too bad there. I
Okay.
have had to go back on the first day because I don't know what stupid thing I did, but I did something stupid.
Mm-hmm.
One time where it was record breaking how fast I went back to the expo. Usually
Wow.
I know I'm going to end up back there. And plus like that's like it's like the first day of school to me of like, "Oh my
Oh,
god, my friends." Or like there's people who I've just met like taking their pictures in front of something or taking I don't know, like people who I've seen in the lines for characters and whatnot. So it's just like a reunion of friends. It's like, I've seen you before. I've talked to people and I'm like, I've definitely seen you before around these races. So it's like a reunion of peeps, of friends and whatnot, and the different excitements of the races. And it's like a fashion show, especially the first day. I say
That's
this
Natalie's
so
our
all.
social
funny.
butterfly.
Oh my gosh.
No, I love seeing everybody in their different like small shop merch or just other races. But, it's like, that's an enchanted skirt. That's a zip. I wore zip. This time I wore my Miles of
Oh,
Magic Homecoming shirt,
I'm
even though
very
it's not
tempted to get
marathon
a
weekend.
zippity tee now.
Oh, they're cute.
They
They're super
are.
cute. It's like almost what I wore all weekend. On to the 5K. Talking costumes for the 5K, which was the 5K was Muppet themed, so Swedish Chef themed because all of it was a celebration of chefs for Wine and Dine. And my costume was Mrs. Nesbit. So you're like, who is that, Natalie? That is when Buzz Lightyear is having a meltdown in Toy Story, when he's coming to terms with the fact that he is a toy. And so it's a little bit of a deep cut,
Very relatable for adults.
but I had wanted to do Mrs. Nesbit for the Toy Story 10 miler, and then I didn't actually execute on it. And I had a friend, so I have to tell the lore of the costume. Had a friend who was trying to get rid of her costume pieces because she didn't want to take them home. She's like, if you want them, I'll give them to you. So I went to the Dolphin and got this like a baggie of costume pieces for Mrs. Nesbit, including a little hand that she made.
Oh my
Um,
goodness, that's where that came from?
yes, that's where all the pieces, all like I had a little blue hat with the flower on it, apron, the hand, and the socks.
Wow.
Were all from somebody else. So I have been sitting on Mrs. Nesbit because the reason I didn't originally want to execute on it was just a lot of pieces to get. And
Mhm.
then also I couldn't find like a lime green like pair of pants that I wanted to get. So that's where all those pieces came from. And but this time I did find a pair of lime green leggings that I liked to wear. So that was that costume. Lot of fun. The little hand was a lot of fun to have as a prop. He's just kind of flapping around.
As much as I loved our, like, matching costume for the half, which we'll get to, I think Mrs. Nesbit was my favorite costume from the weekend.
Oh,
Oh, I kind of liked Natalie's 10K costume, which she's about to reveal. But the Mrs. Nesbit was great. If people don't know who Mrs. Nesbit is, I don't think that's a deep cut. Toy Story fan.
at certain times, you'd be like, ah, Mrs. Nesbit. And I would just go, years of academy training wasted. You should go watch Toy Story.
It is a
Uh,
shame that at PhotoPass or at the finish line or whatever, that they don't also release, like, video, because you could shout that, like, running across the finish line, and that would be oh, mwah, that would have been
dude,
so good.
have been so funny. But, but yeah, it was a good one, if I say so myself. So since it was Swedish Chef themed, my friend Adam was with me in the corrals, and he was talking to me, as we're kind of getting into the shoot. We were in A, and he's like, "Be really cool," because we were speculating what the character situation on course would be. This piece is not safe for magic for the next like minute or so. There's no way that they're going to have the Swedish Chef because it's a 2-person puppet. So, okay, not safe for magic over. And they had the Swedish Chef send off every single wave. I was almost sad to have been an A because I just wanted to sit there and be entertained by the Swedish Chef because I was the second wave, so we were off by 502. And I heard even I was watching Carissa Galloway's stories, and she's like, we barely sent a wave off on time because we were having so much fun with the Swedish Chef. But yeah, he was just absolutely bopping around up there. But it was a whole ton of fun. The characters on course, I stopped for everyone during the 5K, and which there were 4 character stops. And we had Chef Daisy, Chef Donald, we had Duffy the Disney Bear, and we also had Chip and Dale in their little barbecue outfits. And also, there was a cool photo pass in front of Spaceship Earth that I got. So my goal for this weekend was to have as much fun as possible because I was just trying to get mileage in. I had a further goal for the other races of chaos, But so I just kind of had I took my sweet time, had a blast. They had Sweetnums up in a riser at the finish line, so I got a selfie with him too. But it was a ton of fun of a race. We were just kind of, or I was just kind of putzing around, having a good time. Yeah, they had their start line characters were pretty consistent throughout the weekend, but they had the Muppet Chickens um out. So that was fun. That had a little bit of a long ride.
I heard that was like the highlight of the 5K was the Muppet Chickens.
Yeah, my friend Adam again, super big Muppet guy. He was very, very excited about that. They had Tiana in her Bayou outfit, which I was so mad because I did not get a picture with her either the 5K, 10K morning, and she wasn't out for the half. So I'm upsetty with myself because I should have waited after the 5K. That's what I should have done. And because I'm after the 10K, because she was the theme of the race, like lines were long. So I was like, oh, well, I'll just get her tomorrow morning. Narrator, she did not. So they also had Remy out and then Chef Mickey and Minnie. So those are our start line characters. And as I kind of noted, they usually keep things, depending on the race weekend, I should say, fairly consistent. Um, at least that's been kind of the trend. Usually, at least by the challenge day, they have like the challenge character will for sure be out, that race distance of the half or the full or the 10 miler. But they always try to have a character that represents the race that you're doing out. Because for marathon weekend we have there's 6 medals to earn, so really fun race. A little bit of a struggle to try to work that morning because it was about 2 hours of sleep in between the Halloween party and the 5K. But originally it was going to be 0 hours of sleep, but I was dragging by the end of Mickey's Not So Scary, so I had to go to bed. Hannah had an alarm that was like, check on Natalie, and I didn't even hear it. And then I didn't wake up until she was like standing above my head, and she was like, Natalie. I jumped. Good times. But that was a blast.
Oops. Yes, she full on spazzed when I awoke her. But to be fair, I did give her like 3 or 4 attempts verbally and various levels of volume attempting to wake her, but not wake our neighbors. And it did come down to physical contact. So don't worry, I got permission ahead of time.
Oh yeah, I told her to do what she had to do to wake me up because it was just not. um I was impressed, first of all, that I even fell asleep because I was kind of wired after Mickey's Not So Scary. But as one would be when you're all hyped up on sugar. Going to 10K day. My costume for this.
Wait, I can make an actual drum roll. 1 second.
My costume
Ta-da!
was Mary Poppins, but I was Step in Time Mary Poppins specifically. So when the Step in Time sequence, when she's up on the rooftop, Step in Time, and she had soot on her face, as one does, because chimney sweep. So I was in the red getup, had the little hat on. All things were good. I had an enchanted skirt on, which was lovely. And the soot being an operative part of this. So I've done this before. I was Bert the chimney sweep at Princess in 23 for the 5K. So I've done the soot before on my face, and also for Halloween last year. Mr. Natalie and I were Bert and Mary, both chimney sweep edition. So
Aw.
we both had soot
Natalie
on our
doesn't do basic. It's always like a version of the character from some point in their movie or lore or something.
because I find my taste in costumes very, very basic. But thank you. But it's the thing is that so this is no offense against Jolly Holiday Mary, but like the white getup, that's where you'll see her the most in the
Mhm.
parks. That's what you'll see the most around. That to me, that will be. I will eventually do Jolly Holiday Mary Poppins because I've done Mary before too. I did it for the Princess Half in 23, but it was more just Nanny Mary.
Mhm.
And so I'll do a Jolly Holiday eventually, but not yet. I'm not ready for her
That
yet.
seems dangerous. It's all white. What if
It's
you
all
spill?
white. You spill, you sweat.
Yeah.
I, as a bride, didn't even like wearing white. I basically didn't. So I also had a blazer on, which I got from Target last year. That was part of the thing. So this was coming to story. So I step out of the hotel room, which I woke myself up this morning. Like I woke myself up because I just woke up at like 1:40. I'm like, all right, we're up now. And did the makeup or did the makeup, did the beat, set my face like 3 times, stepped outside, knew it was a futile operation there,
Yeah.
because I could tell it was already steamy. So I it was a sweat. I mean, it was already kinda like it was warmer than the morning prior, and then I had another layer of clothing on.
Y'all, that blazer
So,
she wore was not designed to be worn in anything other than very cold AC.
yeah. Yeah, no, it wasn't cute, again, like, it was cute from Target, and, it was, little thick, but got
And
to the race.
polyester, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I get to the race and similar start line characters. They had replaced the Muppet chickens with something else, and now I forget because I clearly didn't stop for that, or clearly didn't do that character. Did do they had replaced Emil with or Remy with Emil because Remy was out on the course that day. And for this, I was in sea, um, not lost at sea, but that's a joke from Last Wine and Dine. But I was in sea corral and it was nice because I mean I did not make the decision to do a dead last start. I did not get tempted by the DLS machine. There was a ton of people who DLS though, and that was fun. But I kind of really got to just waddle my way into my corral. Like it was not early, let's just say that. It wasn't too close to the cutoff because then I ended up being first wave of C. But it was nice. It was kind of nice to roll up and flex, I guess, the POT. I mean, that sounds weird to say. I actually don't even like that I said that. So, but it's nice. It was nice to have. And then D and E were gigantic, and I'll let you guys kind of speak to that when we get to the half and
Yeah.
how they did that system. Because I remember hearing that that there were some like sub waves in there. I'm like, oh, people are going to hate that. Actually, what I've heard is mostly positive feedback, but again, you guys experienced it, not me. So, it was, good times as usual getting there. And so again, my goal for this weekend was just get the mileage done, but remember, a couple weeks ago, I had the little footsie problem and I didn't get my 7 and 17. So I was trying to also get my 7 and 17 done and get him done pretty much on the course. So,
Easy peasy.
um, already in a Run Disney race, you're going to weave a lot,
Mhm.
even if you're not trying to be a fiend. And I was trying to be a fiend with the characters. Um,
What was your final mileage from the 10K?
7.2.
Nice.
I think it was like 7.23 or something like that. It was definitely 7.2 though. So I also was going for what I have dubbed a personal worst. And I was trying to have a PR and fun and get as many characters as I could, which I got.
Everything but 2, right?
I think for the 10K, it was everything but 2.
Mhm.
And I got so many characters. Because then what I did, I really kind of leaned into the run character to character type of thing.
Mhm.
So when I was running, I was clipping. I think actually Prince Naveen was the very first character on the 10K, and I chose not to stop for him. And then Chef Goofy was the next one, and I chose not to stop for him either. And I stopped for every single one after. Yeah, I got everything but 2. But I really like clipped along quickly because like my Garmin again was probably crying for help because it was like you're running so fast, but now you're running so slow. What the hell? But also my heart rate was fantastic because you wait in a 5-minute character line, your heart rate goes down. But I had so much fun on this course. It had been a while since I had done the one that goes like out through the turnstile to go park the parking gate at Epcot, up the ramp and around, and the one that goes all the way around the yacht and beach and the boardwalk. It had been a while since I had done that 10K course. I had done the Hollywood Studios one quite a few or more recently. So it'd been a while since I had done this course, and it was a lot of fun. The characters were poppin'. Um, as I was Poppins. And then because I was Poppins, I felt the need to assist like at all points in times where people were talking about like balloons. Cause then at that point I had gotten the leak of characters um sent to me by people faster than me. So when I'm like, I'll like send it to other people. And then sometimes I usually drop off, but I'll like send it and I'll like text it. And I'm like, okay, In France, this is where you're going to find the mice from Cinderella. In um between the UK and Canada, you'll find this character, that character. So I usually try to like also help friends out. So but I got a leaked list. So I was telling other people in line with me, because then a bunch of us were like kind of ferrying a character to character to character to character. So I would just tell. So again, I felt like I was, as Mary Poppins, I like felt like I had to be the most useful possible, because that's just what Mary would do.
You got to be in
Uh,
character.
And we appreciated that during the half for sure.
yeah. So I really just 1 mile in, because I didn't stop for any of the characters in the first mile. I was already dying in this blazer. And I basically, my full goal was to just not have streaks in my soot, because I use yeah, at a certain point I kind of stopped caring, but at least my first couple character stops I did care. But I I tried my best to, it was a sweaty endeavor. Because I was trying to like reblot it, because I just used eyeshadow to do it. So I had like and it's a black eyeshadow that I literally only have for this purpose of making me some soot for my face for when I choose to be Mary Poppins or Bert. But it was a ton of fun. A lot of good characters out on this course. Um Pooh Bear and Eeyore were there. They were outside Imagination Pavilion. Um, that was one where I was a special like combo of Pooh and Eeyore, because you just like Pooh and Tigger, like Pooh and Piglet. So that was a fun one. I got Big Al, one of the country bears. Got Jiminy Cricket. I got a Chef Mickey. Um, there's another like rarer one that I'm forgetting right now, but I got Duffy every single race, because his line for someone was so short. I'm like, whatever, I'll get him again. So I have 3 Duffys to go around. Oh, Remy was on the course, so I had to, of course, wait for him. That's one of the better Remy photos I have. But it was a blast of a course. So much fun. As the Ren Disney 10Ks are. I finished about 5 minutes ahead of the balloon ladies. Had a failed jump shot, because I was trying to do a jump shot in front of Spaceship Earth, where like I kind of had like the Mary Poppins, how she like stands with her feet out, like a good turnout to my Irish dancers. And she like, I tried to do a jump shot like that. It did not get captured. I was not off the ground. So now I just look like a kid learning who's in first position for ballet. It's funny, but a lot of fun. I still had a good 5 minutes on the balloons by the time that I finished. And there was the best costume that I saw all weekend, because I saw there's somebody dressed up as the Wicked Witch of the West, which I was walking in behind him. He dressed up as I was like, oh my god, Elphaba. And he's like, I have listened to Defying Gravity about 50 times this morning already. I'm like, queen stuff right there. But there was a whole Wizard of Oz costume. The slackers were all dressed up as the Ox and Spoon group. They were all dressed up as Wizard of Oz, down to they had a Toto in a basket. They had a yellow brick road. It was phenomenal. So I finished a few minutes ahead of them, because when I was picking up my medal, because I got a selfie with Carissa and with Pelkey. So Pelkey ordered Thomas O'Malley, the alley cat from Aristocrats. He got Natalie O'Malley. Sorry. I tried. That's about all you can get, the Wish version. But I was picking up my medal, and they had a karaoke of Defying Gravity at the finish line. I am so sad. I wanted to turn around and go run back that way, but I know I'd get in trouble if I did it, because I wanted to be part of the slacker group, like Defying Gravity karaoke. Happy for them, sad for me, because I was so close to them, because I saw them pass me when I was in a line, um and then like I kind of ran ahead because I was of them. But ton of fun. I was out there for 2 hours and 32 minutes.
The longest 10K ever.
Okay, so here's
Not
the
really.
thing.
Other people finish slower than Natalie.
Here's the thing is that I was really aiming to be so I will as a data nerd does, I will parse through the results, and I go like, was I the best Natalie? Was I the best well, I'm still in my maiden name, Boyle. Was I the best Nebraskan? Was I the best Omahomie? Okay. Where do I sit in my age group? And I was expecting to be solidly last in all of those. I wasn't. Someone
She
had
was
more
upset
fun
about
than
it.
me. Someone had more fun than me, and I want to be their friend. That's what I want to do. Is I want to be their friend because it was probably somebody who started in B. Maybe there was somebody who was injured and they're probably like, "Yo, like I did not have fun," or they did every character and they had just a blast.
We'll hope for that one.
Yes, I'm hoping it was a positive reason, but I was talking to somebody in one of the character lines. She's like, "Oh, this is definitely like my longest time out." She's like, "I've done every single one." Like, I'm so happy for you. I was like, I skipped two, but it was so much fun. But I was definitely like in the last 50 to cross the finish line, though. I think of all the finishers for the 10K, but lots and lots and lots of fun was had. My blazer stained my white shirt. Now it's almost just all pink.
Oh,
So it's just
really?
a very soft pink. It's like some parts are a little worse than others, but it
You
was
might be
so
able
much
to bleach
fun.
it.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's a little bit older of a tank top that I have, so um
It's
I don't know,
fine.
maybe if I need like a really pastel-y pink for something. But yeah, I probably could try some bleach on it to get it back and got it from Kohl's. If I really need like another white tank, I will just replace it simply, or maybe I'll need a pastel pink for something, or I don't know, maybe I could be peach someday.
All right, on to a half marathon.
Yeah, I get to stop yapping.
It's Caitlin and I's time to shine. Sorry, Natalie.
It's okay. I can dip in when needed.
So, yeah, we all ran the half marathon together. We were in matching costumes this year. We went as the aliens from Toy Story. You might have seen our TikTok where we said something about the claw in front of Spaceship Earth. Um, we, yeah, so we started the morning at roughly like 2:15. It was the time change, so we had to make sure that we set our alarm for any time after 2. So 2:01, 2:05, 2:00 anything. Um just to make sure that we got the real 2 whatever, not the repeat. Um and that worked pretty well. Natalie got up first, then followed by me, I think, and then Caitlin. But we were both like a little slower to get started than Natalie. Natalie had the routine down pat by that point. So she ditched us pretty quickly after she got dressed.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so because I was ready. Also, I got up at like 1:40 and I did the whole thing of what 1:40 is it? So I always look up what time is it at home. And it was the same time. I'm like, okay, well, I'm in Central Time at home, so I knew it was actually true 1:40.
Mhm,
In my defense, I wanted to see if I could fill a water bottle and if the quick service, like the door to
mhm.
that was open or if they locked it. So
That's
that's
true.
why I
We did
left
ask her to check on that, which
because I
actually came in
wanted
handy because that's where I filled up my bladder, was from a water refill, which is like nice water, not potentially icky water. That would have been tragic if I had to fill it up from a water fountain that tasted gross.
it was warm already. Ugh.
Yeah, ugh. And have like like you never know if you're gonna get funky Orlando water or like okay Orlando water. So yeah. And then we all got dressed. We did our flat lays the night before. Caitlin and I both had a bagel. Um, coat my entire head in unicorn snot. So that was nice. It really locked in the flyaways since I have curly hair. And my braid was very shiny. And then I ditched Caitlin briefly to go fill up said water bladder, only for like 5 minutes. You met me in the dining hall. It wasn't really a ditch. We agreed to meet in the dining hall, but I went and filled up my water. And then Caitlin filmed a TikTok in the room, and we went over to the buses. We were not running. I mean, we were running later than I probably planned, but we were on the 3:30 bus, I think. So definitely still before 4. 4, I would have been freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
was a later bus experience than I'm used to, but
Yeah, you were on like 3 or 3:15, right? We actually weren't as far behind you as I thought we were.
no. I think I was closer to the 3:15 bus,
Mhm.
but I was dragging a little,
Yeah.
she says, having been the first up, and I did do makeup, which, usually I just do eyes, but I was thinking again, it was humid out, and I was thinking of the Wine and Dine last year where I basically primed my face before the and I, like, just did touch-ups,
Mhm.
really, and I had it on for, like, 24, 25 hours. It was a lot cooler and less humid last Wine and Dine. So
Mhm.
it was TLDR, it was a futile attempt, based on when I got a cooling towel at the end of the race and, like, just kinda, like, dabbed my face, just kinda came off, so
Yeah.
it was cute.
Yeah.
The
When
lashes were, though, actually cute, though.
they were. When Natalie walked out of the room in the morning, she opened the door, stepped out, and before the door could even close, I heard her go like, "Woo!" or something. And I minorly was like, "It can't possibly be cold outside. Like she cannot be reacting to being cold." And then it processed, "Oh, it's hot. It's steamy. It's humid." That's what that reaction was.
Oh, yeah. It was.
And it was indeed. I think when we started by the time we started the race, so I'm skipping forward a little bit, it was 94% humidity that morning, and it was in
Yum.
the, like, 70s. So,
Delicious.
it was very hot. We looked back, some people were posting, like, weather data after the weekend on a lot of the Facebook groups that we're in, and by, like, 8 a.m. with the sun up and stuff, if you were on a stretch in the highway, like, the real temperature was something in, like, the 80s, but with, like, surface temperatures, with the asphalt, with the sun, everything, they were saying it was probably felt like 90 on the road, and it was
It
a
was
rough
so
one.
hot.
This is a good reason to train both hot and cold options while you're training because you don't know, and you will not know until it's probably too late which one it's gonna be. Um, Also, you could end up with a mixed bag where you have both hot and cold in the same day or in the same week. So you could have to pack a mix of things, bring options. If you're sitting right on the border, you may not know if you're going to want hot or cold that morning. So just things to consider. All right, so let's jump back to corral. I think. Basically, we went through security, it was possibly the longest security line I have ever waited in, period, and I don't actually think that was because of the time that we arrived. But it did move quickly. It was just they were I the security people were very adamant about, like, get in single file. It'll go faster if you actually get in single file. Was anyone listening? No. Not until, like, they get in eyesight of the, actual, like, metal detectors did people actually start to get into single file lines, so that was fun. We met Natalie on the other side. She didn't set off the metal detector as expected, which was
Oh, yeah.
exciting.
Okay, so my beer club cup was not alone. I brought my anchor battery because I had a fuel rod in my, vest, but I my phone died
Natalie's phone is
yesterday.
ancient and needs to be
Yes.
replaced.
Yes, my battery capacity, I think, is 79%. Like, that's the most it can get to. Oh, it's almost 4 years old. So, like, I'm
Yeah, but then we made it. Natalie and I went to gear check. Caitlin, what did you do? You didn't have any gear check for this race.
Yeah, I never bring the gear check. I did go meet a character this time because I'm a nanny to two kids, and the older of the two is obsessed with Ratatouille. And when she found out that this was a Ratatouille themed race, she really wanted to run, but she did not. She asked if she could have my medal. I said no. But I did meet Remy for her. So I took pictures of Remy when I was in line. This was at 4:08 in the morning. She did not actually see any of the text messages that I sent her until after I was done with. But yeah, I was really surprised the character line. I was in the line at 4:08 a.m., got out of the line like done with the picture at 4:16 a.m. So, surprisingly really fast for Remy's actual like this was his race. I thought it was going to be a super long line, but it wasn't really bad.
that
Yeah.
is something that I think this race they excelled on was getting people through lines fast.
I was surprised how fast you guys moved through them.
But even if you gave them your phone, to take a picture. Like, usually I do like snap one, snap two, but they were quick. I
Mhm.
mean, they
They
would take
were.
it at the same time. So I was very impressed with that. And I
The cast members who were taking the photos with, like, your personal phone if you gave it were crushing it
They
this
were.
yes.
weekend. I like, in
Mhm.
past weekends, I've done that, and I'm glad that I do that because I have missed some of my PhotoPass photos before, and then I have the backups on my phone. Usually, it's, like, a single, maybe 2 photos, and, like, if it's blurry or whatever, like, they don't care because they're just moving on. But this weekend, I feel like that wasn't the case. I had, like, some of them must have been doing the, like, speed, like, take as many as possible because I had, like, the full interaction of, like, walking up to the character and walking to retrieve my phone. Like, they were taking it to the last minute.
It was fantastic. I think they did a really, really excellent job of just ferrying people through the lines.
Yeah,
Um,
and they had a couple of cast members in some of the lines where it was like someone was standing at the front of the line to retrieve the phone and then someone was
mhm.
handing it off. So they were like really like efficient in that way.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent, honestly. And I've never felt like it was bad before in terms
Mm-mm.
of races. So I don't want to even imply that. I just thought I noticed that
Yeah.
it was pretty impressive how quickly everything was moving. And I think that
Hmm.
that's a really good precedent and something good for going forward.
Yeah. And then once Natalie and I got done with gear check, we split because I unfortunately needed to use the potty, which I really tried to do before I leave for the race because not exactly a fan of porta potties if it can be avoided at all. And it was probably the worst porta potty experience I've ever had in my whole life. So it just proves to me that I need to not go to porta. I actually went into one porta potty and came immediately back out because I almost threw up. It was so bad. And then went to a different porta potty. That's how
Yoinks.
bad it was. So make your choices, people. The second one wasn't nearly as bad. It was just so humid at that point. I had already started sweating that it was so difficult to get my shorts and everything like back up and in place underneath my skirt and like all the layers to get everything situated again was tiresome. And I was not ready for that.
That's brutal.
I mean, not that I'm saying it's a good thing because in Chicago I was definitely dehydrated and under and all the things. I never had a potty break during that marathon, and I had one before and one during, so we're headed in the right direction for this half. It was very unpleasant. It told me I need to reinvest in a new pair of running shorts.
When we split,
Mhm.
I did 2 characters. They had Beast out. That's where the Muppet Chickens were the first day, and then I still can't remember who it was the second day. But, and then they had, Louis from Princess and the Frog. So I did both of them. Louis is the only documented past photo where I had the glitter lipstick on still, and I think this was I had the Fluffy Fizzies glitter lipstick. This was a user error thing. I don't think I put it on correct. I don't think I put enough of the adhesive on because it was really cool. It was little like when I would take like sips of water. I mean, obviously, it and Tailwind really didn't get along because I took a sip of my Tailwind, and in the Beast line, it kind of just started coming off. Which again, I think was a me problem. I think
Mhm.
I didn't do the best job applying it, but it looked bomb for the hour or so it was on. And then I just once it started, because I was prepared for the idea of that because I had little makeup wipes in a little baggie in my pouch. So in case, because I was like, I don't want to have like half of a glitter lip on. That's gonna look silly
Mhm.
and feel silly. But it was cool. It was fun. It was a good look for how long it lasted. But by the time I got to the Beast line, it was like, all right, I was letting people go ahead of me. I'm like, hey, go ahead, because I gotta get this situation situated.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we all kind of like reconvened after those photos. And Natalie, you headed to your corral, and I think we were basically right behind you.
Yeah.
You were in C as per previous statements, I guess. But
Yeah.
Caitlin and I, we were in D corral, and when we walked up, it was maybe like 4:15, 4:30. Like we weren't close to cut off. Like for D corral, it doesn't even close until 5:20 or something. They had divided the corral up into what I think was 5 subwaves within it, and they were named after colors. So there was pink, blue, yellow. I don't know what the other colors were. I also don't remember which color we were in. But we were in the third subwave because the first two were already closed by the time we got there. And we were like, I would say towards the middle back of um that group. And we stood, and Caitlin and I found I think she was a preschool, kindergarten, first grade, something.
Yeah, we found a really cute family that we were talking to in the corral. Yeah, no, the girl that we were talking to, she was a first grade teacher. So she and I bonded over that. And then her mom was there, and her mom was a preschool teacher. And then the
Yeah,
dad was just kind of like,
along for a
I
ride.
paid a lot of money to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they told us that her brother is, like, an actual elite runner. Like,
Yeah,
if he
he
came,
like
he would
runs
be trying to win.
marathons. Yeah. And he's also a physical therapist. So he
Yeah.
seemed really cool.
Yeah,
And
so
they're
we
from
really enjoyed.
Ohio.
Yes, big fans of Ohio. And, yeah,
OH.
IO. We spent a lot of time talking to them, basically the entire time, honestly, until, like, we took our pictures of the fireworks ready to go, and we, like, sort of
They were
waved,
literally
and we're like,
right
"Have a
behind
fun."
us. Like, yeah. We even crossed the starting line and we were like, "Have a great race." They were super nice.
And they
So,
told us they were power walking the
yeah,
entire thing, and they told us their pace for power walking was our running pace,
literally.
and
We were like,
I was V proud for them,
"Okay." Yeah.
but also, like,
Yeah. I was
sad
like,
that I can't walk
"Man,
that fast.
I would love to also walk a 14-minute mile."
They were very nice people, we really
They
enjoyed
were
our time in
so
the corral.
nice.
And
We
then
did.
they
Yeah,
did
we talked for a
divide.
long time.
Yeah. And then they did divide our, like, colors into additional waves within the colors. So within just I don't know, like, were we in pink?
I think so.
We might have been in pink.
We might
I
have been in pink.
think they
There was like
divided our wave
yellow.
into another 5 waves or
Yeah.
something. So they had a lot of waves within D, and what I imagine they did the same for
Right.
E.
I didn't really
Um,
understand why they had to have the sub corrals within the corral because at Disneyland, like their corrals went all the way back to like H and I and J, I think, something
mhm.
like that. So I don't understand why they didn't just put us in like corral like G. Like,
I
I don't
wonder
know.
if they're planning to go back to that and they maybe don't have like, they're playing around with the idea. They did try the password thing to, like, let people come back and go in so you could go to the bathroom. We didn't leave, so we didn't have to know whatever that was for our group. They really did shuffle us forward really early in
Yeah,
the process, like, packing us in, so we
that's what
couldn't
I was gonna say.
stretch or really do
Right.
much in the corral. They
Or
really packed us
sit.
in like sardines.
Yeah,
When
that was a really
usually
weird thing for me.
Yeah, because usually, like, there's a bunch of people who want to be at the front of their corral because they want a chance at first wave for time. They'll, like, huddle to the front and be standing, but then usually there's, I feel like, a big section in the back of people who are, like, sitting on blankets and more chill
Yeah,
about, like, wherever they are in their corral.
right.
There was no dead space in any of the corrals. It was packed tight.
Right, because
Interesting.
usually people are like stretching, they might be like jogging back and forth inside the corral, just like trying to warm up. And that was my plan. Like I saw people doing that outside of the corral, but I was like, I just want to get into the corral so I can like relax and sit down and stretch and whatever. But yeah, they were like, move forward, fill in all the dead space. I was like, this is not Haunted Mansion. We are in a Run Disney corral. Like, I need some wiggle room. Like, give me my bubble space. It was very strange to me.
Hmm.
So,
But it
I
was
don't know what
smooth.
their deal was. It was very smooth. It was fine, but it was like I was just trying to sit because like Hannah said, we were there at like 4 something in the morning and like we didn't go off until 5:40.
Yeah, we
So
were in the
we
corral for
were
an hour,
yeah,
at
we were there
least, probably
at
longer.
least an hour. So I just was like, I want to sit down. I want to like, take a load off and not be using my legs. Keep my legs fresh for the next hour so that I can run these next 13 miles. And they were like, nope, stand, move, squish. And I was like, geez, it's crazy. But otherwise, we had a lovely time talking to those people. They were great.
What I can offer on the sub corrals thing. So, since they started having designated corral opening times, that was Wine and Dine of last year. They used to have the corral close times, now they have, or just close times, and now they have the opening times. What I can offer on that is that sometimes you would go park yourself at the front of your corral at 3:15, and then people would shove their way in front of you who got there at like 4:45
Mhm.
and like right before your corral closed. So one thing with these lanes, these swim lanes of sorts,
Mhm.
that I like is that they're not letting that happen where you have to have your whole group with you. You can't have, oh, my friend is behind me. You have to be together. Otherwise, you're not going to be in pink. You're not going to be in yellow. You guys are going to go together, or
Mhm.
like only the person who's here. So I do to offer that part of it with it going smoothly with people. You can't just go shove their way up to the front or like one person goes for 19 people, which I don't know. I have never been super duper pushy about if you want to hold the tape that bad, like I'm gonna let it go. In terms of that. So that not being something I had to deal with this race, but in prior races where it was a little frustrating sometimes to see like and like sometimes you don't know necessarily if like because Marissa and I have traded off going to the bathroom where like she kind of like holds her, but also like we kind of like girl code it like in the area, like, hey, like she's just gonna go to like notice she's here already, so she's gonna go to the bathroom and she's gonna be
Mhm.
back. So we have done that in the corrals when we've been in the same corrals together, but sometimes it is frustrating when like somebody who has not been here at all.
Yeah. Well, and
Uh
I think the color system is the fact that, like, instead of just having a bunch of letters, which they have had in the past, this doesn't require really any new, like, signage equipment. Like, they don't have to create a bunch of new, they have these, like, letter globes
Balloons.
that are lit up in the each corral. They just had, like, basic signs, like, zip tied to the barricades with the colors, but I wonder if they're working their way towards more letters or if they're gonna keep it that way or what, but it definitely did make it smoother,
I think okay, so they definitely already have an F because
right? Because they've
like
had
they
them in the
for sure
past, right? You don't think they threw
yes.
them away, like, they're probably in some warehouse somewhere.
Well, no, yeah, the F was there last year for marathon
Mm,
weekend. So like I know the F exists. But and then also again, like Disney keeps all their stuff.
yeah.
So
Do you
I
think
guess
it's
some
like a, appearances mental thing, like, people don't wanna be an F, they wanna even if they're in the last corral, they'd rather be an E? Something like, you
um
know what I mean? Like,
maybe perchance. I don't know though, because like I don't know, like
well, I mean,
because an F, F is better than G.
with how many
Like
subwaves they created, we would have probably had, like, half the alphabet.
yeah, they've gone down to P before, but that's when they also every corral is every wave too. So
Mm,
I think there were about 3 of C. I was in the first off that went off in C with the corrals. So something I had identified early in the weekend, actually before we even left, but was that it seemed like because I knew that with my proof of time that I was not like a higher echelon of C, but like kind of where the numbers sit that I don't know. I had basically not even just with my proof of time, but I had garnered that the cutoff for challenge bibs at least was going to be for C was going to be in like the 220 or like 2000 or yeah, the 220s. It was around like 220, I think 500 if I remember correctly. So, and I knew that the highest number was like 28,000. Sorry, if I said 100, I meant 1,000. To me, it seemed like they had 75% of the participants, and even if I'm mathing incorrect, let's say 70% of the participants were in 2 corrals in 40% of the corrals, whereas 25 to 30% of the participants were in 60% of the corrals. And like that just didn't make sense to me of as to why it was organized that way. I think speculation time is that when they had things set up, so C became a proof of time corral because, basically 6,000 of the 12,000 finishers last year or participants were saying that they were in the 2:15 to 2:30 time zone or like
mhm,
time estimated finish time. Now it's a 2:30, so now more people are in the 2:30 to 2:45 finish time because
mhm,
that's the I think so many people had been estimating that that's what they were saying that was their estimated finish time that they're like, "Oh, well, that'll be kind of a pretty good division of things." And then not that many people actually provided the POT. I think that had a little bit of an impact. I'm curious to hear how the feedback does come through for marathon weekend cuz last year at Wine and Dine was when they had the like not opening corral C or E until race start because they were basically shuffling it into where but they had a holding pen because people didn't know what to do with themselves, and I don't know. It was definitely controversial and was not received well, and they did not do that again for marathon weekend. So Wine and Dine is a guinea pig in terms of how they're going to do certain setup. Um, but most of the feedback on the lanes was positive. That what I saw, I was really expecting like to doom scroll through things and be like, "What's going on?" Honestly saw more controversy around the beer cup than I did about the lanes. Um,
I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the lanes. I really, other than not having the option to like stretch somewhere with them packing us in so tightly, that is
yeah,
my only negative. And I think that's
yeah,
because they wanted to make sure that when they cut off each of the sub colors that they didn't end up with a situation where they have too many people who show up too late and can't fit into the final
yeah.
swim lane
And
or
then
whatever.
they have to shove them into then E, and then they
Yeah.
probably would be last in E. And I'm starting to like see where the people who do DLS are like, yeah, my morning is so not stressful.
Yeah. I wasn't
We're
very stressed out. I mean, this race, I felt like it was a very enjoyable experience. Similar to Natalie, my goal for this weekend was just to PR and fun. I wasn't trying for a time or anything. I did think like if I didn't stop for a lot of characters, there was like a slim chance I could accidentally PR, just because I've only ever run one official half and I was injured. But I just decided that like Caitlin and I started off together for a little while, and then I had to go to the bathroom and we got separated. But after that, like it was full on just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have all the fun. I'm gonna go to as many characters as I want. Basically, I just kept watching my watch, and whenever my like net time pace started to get below the like 16-minute mile, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna pick it up a little bit more. We're maybe gonna skip a character or something, and then I would jump back in and take lines. And I was having so much fun during this race that my heart rate got too high. And I texted Natalie, I was like, I'm having too much fun. I messed up. And she was like, oh, just take another break. Just take another character. It'll be fine. It'll come down and then you can like get back to a normal pace. But I I genuinely did have so much fun during this race weekend. And I think my final time was somewhere around like 3:19 or something, which honestly was only like maybe 8 minutes slower than my princess in February, and I was injured and trying in that race. So I think the fact that I stopped for 7 or 8 characters on course felt amazing. Like I genuinely felt, I mean, obviously it was really, really hot, really humid. That was tough. That was tough, but like I felt so good at the end. At the end of Princess this year, I felt like I was gonna throw up. I felt like I needed like I was having intestinal distress. I just felt not good. It was like I waited for a little bit and then Ben and I were like made the executive decision, nope, we are going back to the hotel right now. And then I had runner's flu. Like I felt sick that day and the next day. It was
Hmm,
not as bad obviously as Chicago, but like I definitely didn't, it was colder at Princess. I didn't maintain like my fuel and my electrolytes. I can just tell that like even though this was a PR and fun, I'm making so much progress in my training, my fueling, my electrolytes, everything because I felt so good at the end of this race and all day after the race like when we did other things. I really enjoyed it. Caitlin, how did your
good.
race go? Because we got separated about like Hollywood Studios near right before Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, we were like about to go into Hollywood Studios when you needed to go to the bathroom. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I had a really great time too. I thought it was a really awesome race. It was really hot. My heart rate was really, really high. Every time I looked at my watch, my heart rate was like 190. So my mom probably doesn't want to hear that because she is a nurse in the cardiovascular department at the Cleveland Clinic. So she's gonna be like, "Oh my god." But yeah, it was a really fun race. I didn't stop for any characters on the course. I only saw Remy before the race, but I'm just kind of nervous that I'm about to be swept by the balloon ladies. So
I
I
remember that
and
feeling.
yeah, uh-huh, that and I was like, I mean, I just don't really like long lines in general. So every time that I saw a character line, it looked really, really long. The only line that didn't look very long was the last one, and I think that was Chip and Dale, and they're like right at mile 13. And at that point, I'm like, I just want to be done. Like, I don't
Mhm.
really want to stand here and wait for a character for 5 minutes. So but it was a really great race. We got some great pictures. All of us did from the photo pass, so that was really fun. And our costumes were great. I got a lot of compliments from people. They said that our costumes looked awesome. So that was really cute. I had never done like a full on costume like this before. Usually I just run in like a themed shirt and then like leggings or bike shorts. So thanks Hannah for letting me borrow your skirt. That
You
was
looked
cool.
fantastic. We got a
Thank
lot of
you.
compliments, not like we got a lot of compliments in the race. One of
Mhm.
my running buddies, who's part of my, like, accountability group through Kristen, and Dopey Strong, she texted me afterwards and, told me that she saw us on course because she
Oh my
recognized the skirt
gosh.
I was wearing. She was like, "I swear I saw you, like, I know that I saw you on course," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so awesome."
Oh. Aw,
And she
that's
thought
so
we looked
cute.
really cute, so
Yeah, we did. We looked great. So that was a fun costume. Mhm. I don't even know what we're gonna do for marathon weekend. That's what I was thinking.
yeah, we'll
We
have
need
to
to we need to like get plane tickets and figure that out too. But yeah, this was a really fun race. And I was kind of thinking a little bit going into the race, like before I knew what the weather situation was going to be, I was like, maybe I could possibly PR this because when I did my half in October, like my local one here in Louisville,
Mhm.
my chip time was like 2 hours and 51 minutes, which my goal was just to get under 3 hours for that race. So like I did it during this race, it was so congested at so many parts.
Some very narrow parts of the
The
course for
only I
sure.
was Hannah even saw that I was getting a little frustrated when we were on mile 3. We had just gotten done with the boardwalk, and so there's that pathway between the boardwalk and the front of Hollywood Studios, and I personally like to call that Narnia. And I was like, "Oh, we're running through Narnia now." I don't know why Disney decided to put a water stop right there. Cuz that sidewalk is just like a normal sidewalk and like everybody was walking. It was shoulder to shoulder. I was like, "Are you serious?" That was at the very beginning of the race when I still kind of had the zoomies and I was like, "I just want to go."
She
You
definitely had the
know.
zoomies. Our pace was like
Mhm.
a 12.5-minute mile, but I think we had slowed down to like
We
13
really slowed
something,
down
and
right
you were like
there.
full on panicking. You're like, "We're going so
Yeah.
slow." I'm like, "It's fine. It's fine."
Because I was that was the part of me that was like, I think I could PR this because so like I was saying in Louisville, the hills were crazy and my watch said that it was like a 500 feet of elevation difference throughout the race, and at Disney I only have like 100 feet of elevation, so there's not a lot of hills. Really the only hills are like when you're going up those
On
on ramps
ramps.
on the freeway, right? So I was like, I can totally handle this course. It's mostly flat. And I was like, I think I could probably PR, but I promised my grandma that I would not PR because she was like, you're going to go really fast and you're going to go out too hard and you're going to hurt yourself. And you can't be doing that because you still have two more Disney races to run. So I was like, yeah, okay. But then we hit that point where it was literally like shoulder to shoulder walking with people and my watch said you're going at a 14-minute mile pace and I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to PR this. It's fine. So, I did
I
not
do
PR.
think, like, logistically, they could maybe move that water stop a little bit further up to be sort of at the entrance to Hollywood. It just widened out so much there. But I think that
Yeah.
water stop had Powerade, and that's what I saw a lot of people talking about is that the
Yeah.
Powerade stains the concrete, so they don't like
Mhm.
having it there. But then I would just argue like maybe move the Powerade to like the next one or
A
bring it
different
back.
stop. Sure.
So I don't know. I
Right.
just there's no
There
shoulder
was
on that sidewalk, like, it goes to
yeah.
water, so there's really
Mhm.
no genuinely nowhere to go.
It was just kind of a weird spot. So, but I mean, I do love this particular course. And we got to go through all of Hollywood Studios, which I loved. For Princess, we did not do as much Hollywood Studios. We were in there for like 2 seconds
Yeah.
we came in like behind Tower of Terror and we did Sunset Boulevard and Hollywood Boulevard and that was it. So I love how we got to go all throughout Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge. Like it was a great course. It was just that one little spot where I was like, are you guys serious right now? So
Natalie did get a super cute picture next to
she
aliens swirling
did.
saucers in her
Why
costume.
didn't we think of that?
I did think about it and opted not to
I did
because it
not.
was right after my bathroom stop, and I was like, "No, I need to keep going
Mm,
because I've been like, I swear, one, there was a line for the bathroom, and then
ooh.
when you've already like I was really sweating at that point, trying to resituate all your clothes is a very time-consuming effort. And so I felt like I had been in that bathroom for half an hour. I wasn't, but I felt like I had. And I just wanted to keep going. And like I think I needed to run to sort of like when you put again, we've talked about my weird thing with socks, but like when you put a piece of clothing on and it just like doesn't sit right, but then you need to move around and it like figures itself out. I needed to do that.
Yeah.
Felt.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And then after Hollywood was a lot of highway miles.
Pro tip, go to the real bathrooms when possible. Every
Yeah.
Which
race, I hit a real one.
yeah, that real bathroom in Hollywood Studios was a million times more than a million, infinitely better than the porta potty. So definitely
Mm-hmm.
go in a real bathroom. I will not make that mistake again.
But speaking of the highways, honestly, I I don't like the highway part of a Run Disney race because we're here for the parks and we want to see the backstage and all of that cool stuff. But this time around, because the pathways inside the parks and on the boardwalk were so narrow and so congested, I honestly was happy to get onto the freeway because then it finally opened up and I was like, thank goodness, no more bobbing and weaving anymore because my watch was like a good 3/10 of a mile ahead. Like it would hit like 6 miles and then I'd have to go more than a quarter of a mile to hit the mile marker. So that was a little frustrating for me just because I was like, this is annoying. I'm doing so much extra running. But I mean, I guess, like we paid all this money for the race, so we might as well spend all the time that we want on the course.
Yeah, that's what Natalie
So
did.
That's sure
and
what I did.
are we going to talk about mile 7 of the race?
What about mile 7?
Yeah.
We had to go run past Blizzard Beach.
Oh, Caitlin. Caitlin had her
Ugh.
own little mental breakdown having to
It was
experience the trauma
it
of
was
passing
okay.
by Blizzard Beach.
Mm, it was okay.
Do you feel prepared for a marathon now?
No, I'm not prepared to go run around that parking lot. I'm not prepared to run laps. I was content in the fact that we only ran past it and it said have an ice day on the marquee and Summit Plummet was looking pretty majestic in the morning. I should have taken a
Especially
picture
with
of
that
it.
heat.
Yeah, and all of the like steam and the fog that came up off the ground. Yeah, it was looking pretty nice. Would I want to go to Blizzard Beach anytime in the future? No, not really. I'm fine with never going there again. And Boomer agrees. I don't know if you heard Boomer.
Yeah. Natalie, tell us about your race at this point.
So, as noted, I was trying to get as much mileage as possible. I ended the race with 14.4 miles of running.
Nice.
I've never been so impressed with myself. Plus, there was 2 miles of walking before. So by the time I got back to the hotel room after, I hit over 17 miles. So, target acquired.
Snaps.
Additional target
Dang,
was
wow.
getting a another personal worst. My previous, most fun had. Actually, I wouldn't say most fun had because it was my second half marathon ever, and it was during Dopey, and yeah, and I was actually more nervous for that race than I was the full the next day. Anyway, was like think a 3:30 or 3:35 or something like that was my half. So I was like, all right, must exceed that. More fun the better. So I succeeded. I got every character stop but 4. this time. The ones I skipped a meal because I had gotten him the day prior. I skipped Marie because I knew and I had gotten a list sent to me.
which
Shout out to
she then sent to
Travis.
us.
Oh yeah. Travis sent me the list that he had taken a picture of a screenshot on someone else's phone,
Wow.
which was iconic, honestly. I appreciated it cuz then I was like the purveyor or I was the person who had the good news. And I would just tell people, I'd be like, "Hey, yo." They're like, "Oh, I wonder who's next." I'm like, "Well, it's Bullseye." So I was able to share that with other people because, I like to use my powers for evil. By evil, I mean being helpful. It's a special type of evil, but sharing is caring in a lot of ways. But the ones that I skipped a meal, I skipped Mickey and Minnie. They were in Hollywood Studios, and I'm looking at the list right now. I skipped Daisy
Mickey and
Duck
Minnie,
because I
they
had
were
gotten
so
her.
cute. Mickey and Minnie
They
were so cute in their
were,
little holiday Hollywood glam outfits. Oh,
and then I skipped Chip and Dale at the end because they were in the same outfit during the 5K. But if I count real quick, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 other ones I got.
That's a
I
lot of
got
characters.
so many.
That's insane.
And then I also went through one of the lines twice. This was later in the race, around mile 11, was where it was swapping the 3 fairies with Prince Aurora and Philip. So I did Prince Aurora and Philip first, and the cast member had said when the fairies were coming out, and I just got back in line and then started letting people pass me. I was like, "Hey, I'm waiting for the fairies. You can go ahead if you want them. Hey, I'm waiting for the fairies. You can go ahead if you want them." So I just let people pass me, and then I got the fairies as soon as they came out. But yeah, I had myself a ball getting all the characters, stopping for photos. Some of them were selfies only, where Chewbacca, Ray, and Vi in Galaxy's Edge were a selfie only. We'll see how good the selfie was, because one time I thought I took a baller. Actually, the last time I wore the aliens costume, or a different version of the aliens costume, was at Disneyland. And I was like, oh, I'm going to take a selfie outside Pizza Planet. This is going to be such a good picture. It is so blurry. It's like I
oh.
took it on a potato from 2004. It's like I took it in a box camera that I made an AP physics class in high school.
Oh my
That's how
goodness.
bad the picture. It's super funny because I'm like, oh, this is going to turn out so good. No, no. I think it actually ended up a decent picture. That one in Sweetnums was out as a distance meet and greet with selfies on the course, as well as some mimes.
Oh yeah, I saw them. I was
They were
confused.
Me too, but they were funny.
They
But
were.
yeah, I stopped for and I got a Tower of Terror photo stop. I waited for that one. I waited for one in the Japan pavilion. I waited for pretty much everything, and I still had plenty of time because eventually, even with all that waiting, Hannah was closing in on me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna just wait," because it was the last one that we did was Star-Lord and Gamora, and I knew they were going to be there because I noticed on the lights when I was waiting in the Donald and Daisy line the day before that there was a sticker that said Donald because that's where he was during the 5K. Another color was Donald and Daisy, and then Star-Lord and Gamora was the last one. So I'm like, okay, I can pretty much deduce that this is where Star-Lord and Gamora are going to be tomorrow, and that's where they were. So I waited for Hannah to catch me after that.
It was perfect. You were like just almost to the front, but not so far that like you were the next one and like people were going around. So we didn't wait very long. And then after that, we didn't have any. I mean, the Chippendale was next. We skipped them.
Yeah, they were
Um,
short though. It was short, but I was like, I did get them already.
I didn't even process that we had passed them. I didn't see
Oh,
them. It's fine because I have pictures
they
with
were on the
them,
other
but
side.
it was yeah, I just like didn't even process that happened, but then we were running,
You
you
were
got a
like
call
tunnel
from
vision. I gotta finish.
I did start to get like I was just really excited that like we were getting close, that I was still feeling good. I was like really impressed with myself there. And Natalie got a call from Adam and was like, "Do you want a beer?"
So
So
I had sent the thing out. I was like, I need a beer so bad right now. And it was when I was like coming off the hill into or the overpass into Epcot. I'm like, I sent a text. I'm like, I need a beer so bad. And he goes, do you want me to get me you one? And then
mhm.
he was telling me exactly where he was with the beer.
So then as we're
Good.
coming, like, we came around that, that last there's always that last bend right before the finish line where they have
Mhm.
photos past photographers. Maybe we'll put it out there. Actually, I think if you go to Natalie's Instagram account, you can sort of see the photo. I attempted a jump shot. It was not captured. But if you look at me in the background of Natalie's photo, you can see me either landing or about to take off, not sure which one. And I look hilarious. My face is terrible. And I'm like squatting, like I'm in like the like weird squat position that you sometimes get when you get running photos. And yeah, that's a gem. It's a gem.
It
But
is.
then right after we went around the bend, we go through and like you can see the line, you can hear Carissa, like we were getting close and you veered off to get your beer. So I just want to say this for Travis, but I saw the back of her head and then I passed her and went across the finish line first. So
Exactly.
winning.
Ex He will appreciate that, but I felt so
You spilled
iconic.
so much
I
beer.
sp I took a big gulp, but then I spilled and sloshed so much of it. It was so fun though, because 'cause I've never crossed the finish line with a beer, because last year, I had the slosh monster come because I got a Tipsy Ducks in Love because 'cause I'm an icon, and because so many people in, like, around the world showcase were like, "What you got?" Like, "Tipsy Ducks in Love." They're like, "Oh, that's so nobody ever gets that," and then I was sloshing too much. I'm like, "I I gotta drink it."
Mhm.
So I did. I did, but before mile 26 of the marathon, I had to chug it. So I did chug it because I am not a quitter, and I chugged it. And then
That is
proceeded to have a
something
lot
you
more.
say in college. I don't know that that's a mentality that we need to hold on to so hard in adulthood.
Yes, but like I didn't want to waste it. That's another college mentality.
Yeah.
But I it was a lot of fun because I was kind of like joking when I was like, I need a beer so bad because Adam was watching for a couple other friends to finish as well. And he goes, "Okay, do you want one?" I'm like, he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, the pineapple cider, naturally. But it was so much fun. I got so many good characters. I've never gotten the mice from Cinderella, Susie and Perla,
They were
and I got
so
them.
they were
Oh,
cute.
they're so cute because they're always so long during Princess, which I get because
Mhm.
you never see them. So I made sure that was kind of a longer line I waited in, maybe like 7 to 10 minutes. I've never gotten them before. Bullseye, I've taken a picture with before because he was at an expo a couple years ago, but Bullseye is just so cute. I love him. He's so dang
I
cute.
was so bummed when my bullseye photo that I took, like, it turned out blurry.
Oh,
And that
that's the
was one where
worst.
they weren't taking like personal phones,
Yeah.
so all I have is the photo pass. So that was a bit of a
Oh,
bummer.
if it makes you feel better, my very first castle shot during my first Princess Half is so blurry
Oh
because it was so steamy.
no.
It took me until the marathon to get a good one.
That's a
'Cause
bummer.
I don't even know I don't even remember mine from mine's washed out from my, the half in Dopey weekend, so
Oh.
it was the marathon was my first good one, but I ate in that one, so it's fine. It's like it wasn't just good, it was good. Um,
Nice. Yeah.
and now I've eaten since.
So
But yeah, it
tell
was
us
so fun.
what was your time?
A 3:51
Nice.
was so
We were
fun.
not too I mean, we definitely still had plenty of padding between us and the balloon ladies. I know that
We had
had
30 minutes.
I had people in line with me who were, like, starting to freak out probably when we hit the Haunted Mansion ghosts, and I was like, "Don't worry, we're fine, we still have, like" at that point, we still probably had, like, an hour on the balloon ladies, and I was like, "It's gonna be fine, as long as you can finish it." That was what, mile, like, 10, 11.
Yeah.
It's before you go over the overpass towards Epcot, and that was a great picture, but I was there people were definitely starting to panic. I was like, "You have so much time, it's okay, like, PR and fun. Woo."
Yeah. It's 3:30 from the time that they cross. So when you find out they cross, or it's 3:30 if you want to track the 16-minute mile pacers, they start ahead of her,
Mhm.
ahead of the balloon ladies. So plenty of time. So I knew that like drop dead time was around 9:35. I think by the time I got to mile 12, because I sent a message because I this was before Adam was summoned as my Batman to my beer man to because I sent a message to one of my other groups. I'm like, do you know if any of the beer stands in Epcot are open?
Yeah.
Because Epcot was opening at 10. And I did hear after the fact that one of them was.
Oh.
I heard after the fact that one of them was. Honestly, the way that because there was like a gate in between that was like a couple like a couple feet of space. So Adam was like reaching over the fence. I was reaching over the fence to get the beer. So it wasn't like your normal, like, it wasn't like a water cup handoff. It was a beer cup handoff. But it was honestly kind of iconic.
Yeah.
Sebastian, also hadn't gotten before. So that was a good character stop. I had actually, as much as joy and sadness have been a staple
Mhm.
of Run Disney character stops,
Yeah.
I had never stopped for them.
Really? I
Mhm.
skipped them this time, and I'm kinda disappointed that I did because I got them during Princess, but then I never got those PhotoPass photos, and I never
Oh,
went through the effort
no.
of, like, contacting them. I guess theoretically I still can, but,
Yeah.
I haven't done that, and then I didn't stop and, like, try and redo that either, so, yeah. But
Or Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. I had never stopped for them before.
I've never stopped for them still.
And
Yeah.
then Bowler Hat Guy, that was
Bowler Hat
especially for
Guy was
Nurse.
the one I was so excited about, and I'm glad that they took it on my personal phone because I don't think I'm gonna get that photo pass without effort because my pose was like mischievous, like ha 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 pose, and I accidentally like I turned to the side so like you cannot see my bib whatsoever.
Yeah, usually the cast member will correct it if possible, where they'll be, because I one time tried to do back to back with Cruella at Disneyland. They're like, "Hey, we can't see your bit." I'm like, "Oops!" Turned around real quick to make sure, but it's so much fun. There were a lot of good eclectic characters. The Haunted Mansion ghosts, obviously, probably being the best ones
Mhm.
because they're only really out at Wine and Dine. Or at least that's the only places I've seen them. And if I was sweating, they were sweating in
Oh
full
my
body makeup.
goodness, yes. I mean, they must obviously, they have the trailer, so they get touch-ups and stuff throughout the day, but geez Louise, that's a thick costume.
Yeah, they're so cool though. I loved it. But yeah, it was a fantastic finish. Made sure got collected my gear check. Having
Mhm.
the anchor battery was clutch.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Met up with Adam, got a beer or well, we got a group picture at the finish line photos. They actually did not this weekend have a specific how they'll have the I did it photos and they'll put like you'll hold the little sign, they'll put a frame around you. They
Mhm.
didn't have one for the challenge. Even though
Oh,
cuz
really?
I made sure I held the challenge side of the paddle,
Yeah.
but I read in one of the chats I'm in that they just somehow didn't have one for the challenge. I don't know.
Huh.
It was a ton of fun and then I stuck around a little bit longer cuz I wanted to go see Adam. Got another beer or another cider and just kind of vibed out for a little while.
Yeah. Then
Got to meet some
Caitlin and I went
other
back to the
people.
hotel.
Yeah, plus, like, when, like, 3 people got a shower, it's like, well,
We got a
I could
cascade.
just change yeah, right, I could just kinda hang for a bit. But it was a lot of fun. I made sure I got on the bus even way before the last one, because the last buses out are 10:30, but that's some stuff that's in the event guide, fun
Mhm.
fact, of when your last buses are, so don't get caught by surprise and be waddling to the buses after a marathon and you hurt and, like, you had to get up off the ground, it wasn't pretty, and you still had to get your finisher photo, don't do it. But it was a really, really, really fun set of races, just kind of, like, renews the vigor and excitement for marathon weekend itself, and I felt really good, because it was funny because I was really like when I was running, I was like kind of looking at my Garmin to see like, I was cooking all weekend really. I don't know, I like paced pretty quick for me. I mean, again, it helps like when you're then stopped to like stand somewhere for 10 minutes. But I was really cooking because there was I think it must have been the 10K where I had my very first mile was an uninterrupted mile. I was cooking. So definitely felt really good. For me, it was mostly the lack of sleep, which again reminds me why I'm a freak about my sleep and why the warden
Yeah.
puts bedtime early.
I think that's a
Uh,
good transition. We actually put out a call on our Instagram for like listener questions, like if you had anything. And one of our listeners, Travis, wanted to know what does your pre-race routine look like for race day? And I just feel like we should explain. It's more than just like waking up, especially for Natalie. Natalie has a very, very early bedtime during race weekend. And Caitlin and I, we tried.
Hey, I was fine with the
No,
early
no. We
bedtime.
went to bed really well. I was impressed with us. I have never been able to go to bed that early. We just like Natalie was for sure the first one asleep.
I think I was talking to Hannah one of the nights, and then all of a
She
sudden I
was.
just wasn't. I was out.
All right.
That's
I was
true.
That
talking and then I
low
wasn't.
key, that's me though. That's teacher life for you.
So how does the night before start, Natalie? From the
Okay.
pro of the three.
Okay, so it starts with old lady dinner. So if you haven't made your marathon weekend ADRs yet, or you are still just kind of figuring out your plans, it starts with old lady dinner. Which because it again, a lot of things I say are things I learned the hard way. So because we thought that we were being geniuses with a 5 p.m. dinner once. Okay, depending on when you want to get up, that's kind of late. Because by the time then you get home or back to your room, you shower, or even if you don't shower before or whatever, like you get to in bed a little late. But so I big fan of like a 3:30 is usually it. I'm kind of push I'm we're playing with the 2:45 now, just because then that kinda gives you some time to digest a little bit before and, like, do some things, like, if there's a last minute errand you have to do, like, realize you lost your sunglasses and might have to go to Fit to Run at Disney Springs. Not like I'm speaking from experience because it was beyond the point of no return, and I was like, "Alright, my eyeballs are just gonna hurt, whatever." Um, so anyway, so it also actually it starts almost even earlier than that because I like to set out my stuff. I like to have my flatty at least is mostly out when I get back from the race in the morning. So if I'm switching bibs, I'm leaving my bib pinned to my belt, but I have all that out or as much of that out as possible when I get back from the race in the morning.
And as it gets further into the weekend and you get more sleep deprived, you're more likely to make a mistake that early in the morning.
Exactly. So, like, I stuff the vest, I stuff like whatever I'm taking with me to the race. So that's like actually like a morning like prep before I go to the parks type of thing. Have your old lady dinner, get yourself back. If you need to fill your water bottle because you want to have water in the room, do that on your way back to the room. If you have like waters, you're filling your bladder. I don't do that to the morning because it's going to be warm enough against my body. I don't need my water bladder to be like full all night. Wrong. Yum. I guess I could do it and put it in the fridge, but go to bed. I mean, again, like things like are strictest toward the marathon, obviously, because you're going on day 4 of sleep deprivation. You have 26.2 miles to go. Or if I'm trying to do a PR. So, or like I'm trying to like go for time, which just happens at Princess sometimes. And so I'm in bed. Like if I'm asleep by 6 o'clock, my life is good. That is like ideal for me. Um, big fan of that. Um, Usually I try to be like lights out by 5:45 so time.
I think this weekend you were asleep by like 6:30-ish, and Caitlin and I were asleep around like 7:30. Like we
Yeah.
turned out all the lights and then we were just sort of like being chill and then eventually fell asleep.
Yeah. I was very sleep deprived this weekend. Of all weekends, but what race morning looks like is I get up. I did try something this time and it failed very quickly of like I did like try to do my pre-tape of my feet cuz like around my toes whatever. It was uncomfortable on my feet. Not uncomfortable, but like I was too like aware of my feet, so I took it off before I fell asleep. Good. So I'll like tape my feet. I did get my knees taped at the expo. The line was so short and they had this really cute polka dotted KT tape, limited edition that I bought, and if you want to get two areas taped, you have to buy the tape. And I had a really good applier of the tape. A really good application was done. So I like kind of always figured that like I'm gonna use it anyway, so I might as well just buy more at the expo. So you can get 2 rolls of it for $35. And I got 2 colors that I don't see in the stores here, especially the pink polka dot stuff. I'm super excited about that. But I wake up, I tape my feet. If I hadn't taped my knees yet, I would tape those. I tape my bra line. Sorry, Travis. I taped my back because I knew the sports bra I was wearing had like hooks on it.
Mhm.
So I have chafed in that before on my back. So I just put some preventative tape around where that happened. I do makeup. I will learn my lesson and not put face makeup on, just the eyeballs because I'm going to sweat. I do a kind of like last sweep check for things that I may need. So things like even the night before, I like to put my ID in the back of my phone. Keep it in the back of my phone in my OtterBox, so I have it on me versus like it being in the lost in the wild. But I like to do that the night um, before I get back to the hotel room, which I'm now going out of order chronologically. I make sure I've switched my fuel rods because not every fuel rod thing like in your resort, like at Port Orleans, it's in the arcade to swap your fuel rod. So that is locked at
Mhm.
night. So some of them aren't. Like I think Pop sometimes it's like out in the open, or maybe it's one of the All Stars where it's not behind a locked door. just based on where the fuel rod swap is. So I made sure both of mine were swapped out and ready, even though I only took one with me. But I make sure I have my stuff. I make sure I have everything I want to take to the race. I do another last sweep for like cooling towel, something like maybe sometimes I've put an extra piece of KT tape just in case, like, I don't know what I think I'm going to KT tape while in like the corral or whatever, but it's there.
Yeah, but, like, even if it's not for, something that you think is gonna chafe, like, on your foot or whatever, if something like a strap started to tear or, like, something broke on your person, you could always use the tape for that too, so I don't think it's.
Yeah. It's not paranoid. It's not like something I wouldn't take with me because it takes up like negative space. So, or like extra pins. I always have extra pins. I've given them to other people
Mhm.
too, where it's like, hey, like, oh shoot, I don't have pins. I was like, you can go to runner relations and get pins, but I have like 12 pins in there because I just take the little baggie and put it right in
Mhm.
my waist pack. So, stuff like that. Um, I do put the lashes on. I'm sorry, like, but like it does like pop your pictures a little bit, and it doesn't bother me.
I could never. So, like, hearing you talk about the makeup you put on, I put on unicorns, not just on my hair, but like I did like my cheeks and stuff, and I just touch my eyeballs way too much while I'm running because of sweat and stuff. I could never put on eye makeup. It would just bother me so much. I think I have really sensitive eyes. Like, even I don't wear makeup on a daily anyways, so when I do, just on a normal work day, by the time I get home from work, I'm, like, annoyed and wanna take it off, and my eyes feel dry and stuff, so I don't think I could. I don't know. Maybe I'll
That's
try
funny
one
because
trial run, but,
you should for the Miss Congeniality costume.
yeah, that's
That'd be a
true.
good one to try. That'd
Yeah.
be a good one to
Well,
try.
I should try it
C-
before a race, even though
yes,
that's not a
please try it
serious
before
one,
then.
but
Yeah, please try it before race, but like you should like do it cuz honestly like even a full face, the only reason I have like run with a full face is I got my driver's license picture taken before my 23 miler. And I was going to take it off and I'm like, I'm kind of curious like what happens. And like I had salt crystallized on my face, but honestly the beat still looked good
oh my
at the end of that.
goodness.
20 after a 23 miler. But I do the makeup, I do again, a last sweep for stuff and like because I'm like prone to forgetting things. And then like once I'm out of the hotel room, like I'm gone.
What
Like I
about
really don't like to come back.
what about, like, nutrition and
Oh yeah.
water intake before you leave the room?
Good call. So I do try to make sure I sip on some water before I leave the room. I don't really kind of set. Usually like I take some medicine in the morning, but I try not to like have like a set amount I take. Then I kind of go by thirst or like I try to be pretty hydrated.
Mhm.
But I will have something and have some liquid IV in there, but then if I don't drink all of it in my water bottle, it's waiting for me when I come back. I usually will have a honey stinger waffle as well. And then I usually bring one in my bag. And I also bring like some Dots pretzels. I bring some like extra like gummies, whatever, just something to, like snack on a little bit while I'm in the corral. So it's either goes into my fuel gear check bag, but then goes in my pockets or my butt bag, affectionately known for my stuff I get after the race, the butt bag. I'll fill bottles with Tailwind for longer races. So I did have a bottle, I did have two water bottles with Tailwind or one packet of Tailwind split between them getting prepped for this race. I consumed one of them before I even got anything started, and then the other one I sipped on. I think it was gone by like mile 3 or whatever. Um, yeah, that's a good point. I know there's probably something else I do.
Yeah, I think this is the first time I've been, I would say, as diligent about, like, my pre-race fuel stuff. So I made sure I obviously didn't do makeup. I got up, I taped my toes because as we've discussed with Bartholomew, that's my risk factor point. I always put, nut butter or body glide or something on my heel, and I do the, like, bunion area, like the side of my foot, toe area, as well, but I only tape my toes, and then I've not yet needed to tape, like, any other part of my body, like my knees or any, like, joint areas or anything, although this year I regretted, I literally said it last week, I think, on the pod where I chafed that one time on my bra line, that one time only, or maybe in the chafing episode, and it happened again. And honestly, I think it's the exact same sports bra that did it. So I didn't learn my lesson. Um, and I will probably start taping that little section. I got to try that on a run. But Caitlin did a beautiful job bringing bagels and peanut butter to feed us. And so we both had a bagel and some peanut butter. It was
Yeah, I
very, very
packed them in my
tasty.
carry-on.
So proud. And then we had that. So I had that and I had the water, and that was all like what I had in the hotel room. And then by the time we got to the race, I had a honey stinger waffle also. The cookies and cream flavor specifically is my favorite. And I waited to have that until we were like had already made the hairpin turn that they always have in the corrals where they're leading you up to the start line. I eat that like sort of like right at the last minute, not when my wave's about to go, but I like a wave or two. Once I make that turn and I can see the start lane, I know I'm going to start soon. That's when I eat that waffle to get myself a good kickstart. Um, yeah. Caitlin, did you enjoy your bagel and peanut butter? Yeah. Thumbs up. Sweet. Caitlin's having a little audio difficulty. But well, yeah, I think that's basically our pre-race routine. Also, go to the bathroom. Going in your hotel is much more ideal than any of the offerings outside. So, you know, I hope that that's a-okay for everybody. All right, and then our last, let's see. We also had we had a question about how the corral process was for D&E and whether the course was crowded. I think we sort of talked about that already, so I hope that we answered what you were hoping to hear. And we had another one asking about if there was lots of people there, and there definitely was. I think it might have been one of the bigger ones, like possibly the biggest one post COVID. No, something like
Yes.
16,000 bibs.
Yes. So it's suspected there were about 16,000 bibs. And why we say suspected is that we can only go off of bib ranges and not necessarily like, while it went from like 20,005 to like 28,100 ish, that doesn't mean that every single unique number was populated or that everybody showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's for the challenge, especially. But suspected about 15 to 16 started. There were over 13,000 finishers for the half marathon. Um,
I do think
it,
this, considering how many there were, I do think the number of finishers was severely impacted by the weather this year.
yes. When it's hot, when it's humid, and this was one of the sweatiest races I've ever had. My marathons don't make the top three.
Yeah.
Just going to consider that. Something that I had speculated before, not on the podcast because we didn't have the podcast yet. So this year they eliminated the virtual option for in-person races. So they used to do a virtual component where you could buy your set of virtuals, same shirts, same medals with a different ribbon on it.
Mm-hmm.
That was eliminated this year. I think all the field sizes are bigger because they did that. I think that they still have about the same um, numbers. I think during the COVID year, the post COVID years, I think that included the same numbers of medals. Like when they placed the
Mm-hmm.
order for the medals, I do think that was included in the overall count.
Mm-hmm.
Just I think it was quite a bit few more finishers for the half. Just kind of thinking of that than it was last year because definitely over 13,000 finishers for the half marathon this year. It was somewhere in the 12s last year. There's somebody, Ryan Teets, does a lot of the math. I think he's also our weatherman. Uh where he does like the historical weather. He also does when stuff sells out for like timing wise. So he does, and he keeps track of the numbers. So obviously my numbers people and I agree, or I like to see their posts in different places, but um he keeps track of some stuff like that.
All right, and that's all of our listener questions.
Keep them coming.
Yeah, this is really fun. We're we're really enjoying the little community that we're building, and we hope that you're enjoying it with us. All right. Do you guys want to talk about anything else? I think that's like a really good cutoff for the first half.
Yes, I think we can keep our more park-based experiences for next week. We gotta keep them coming back.
If you enjoy listening to our show, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We love reading your reviews out loud, and you might even be featured on a future podcast episode. We've also started a community spotlight on our Instagram. If you want to be featured for a Medal Monday, Finish Line Friday, or any accomplishment you want to celebrate, send us a picture via our social media platforms or our email. Thanks for listening, and until our next adventure, we're wishing you endless miles of magic and memories. See you next time.